right, everybody, what's going on? We pulled it together. I didn't show up into the right channel here, and Steve had a little bit of technical things, but we both got together. The old ball guys pulled it together at the last minute. So we're here. I'm here with Steve Molloy, great guy, first guy to ever invite me on one of these shows, made me feel like I'm part of the community. So I will always be indebted. So we're going to spend some time talking. I don't want to talk about the dysfunction. It's so tiring. We all got it. Let's just try to gauge, what we can do to get this thing right. Whatever's on Steve's mind or whatever you guys want to put out there in the comments, we'll dig into it. So Steve, you had my man, Darius on the other night, guys. Check out. He was on Tuesday. I didn't have Electric Tuesday, so I would have been watching. Go check his Tuesday show up. Darius, who came on and did a wonderful, amazing educational job on how our system reads the defenses, really kind of highlighting what's two is really doing. I'm looking forward to catching up and seeing it. So guys, check that out. So Steve, what's going on? How you doing there, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. I appreciate you having me on the show again. I always like coming on your show.
My pleasure, brother. My pleasure as always, man. Okay. We're in the 10th year of Grier. And, look, we all have our misgivings. I think even the people that, they're not super down on him, they have some misgivings. But every year is a new year. You shake that bag and you never know. You might get bottled lightning. And honestly, we don't know who's really making these picks. There's a lot of change in the background. We have a lot of picks to do something right. I don't think that we've got enough to get ourselves back in the postseason unless some crazy, crazy development and luck happens. But that's okay. We just got to stock ourselves up with some darn good picks, get some good players, build a foundation for whoever is running this thing. And we've got to hit this year. We've got to, and it's whether it was Grier's planning or just by sheer luck, there's a lot of positions open for what we need. We need offensive line. We need defensive line. We could use some tight ends that's in the back, not desperately. There's safeties there. And we're in position in that first round with number 13, if we so choose, that one of these top cornerbacks, because all the stuff that's happening top 10 can fall to us, and that would be huge. So if Steve's the GM, what are you doing, man? What's your vision? What do you think's the most critical aspect that we need to fill?
As far as position goes?
Yeah, position group, whatever.
Gosh, man, it is really hard to evaluate, Curtis, because we got a lot, like you said, we've got a lot of holes to fill.
We do.
We lost Calais Campbell. Now I'm sorry to see him leave probably differently than some other folks. Some other folks were look, he's not the guy that's going to get us over the top. He's not the guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. So that's not why I'm missing him. I'm missing him for his leadership, for his veteran leadership that he brought with him to the Miami Dolphins. That is what I'm going to miss. Because he was playing on a limited snap count last year already, and then his body was starting to break down towards the end. I mean, he even mentioned it, and and you could see it. You could see it. You could see him on the sideline, going in and off the field, and still gave 110%. No doubt. The guy was a dog. We need dogs. But a lot of folks are saying defensive tackle. I don't think defensive tackle is the most critical need. And the reason why I say that is because we've got 8 or 9 linebackers, and out of those 8 or 9 linebackers, you got about 4 or 5 edge rushers. If you remember, we've got Quentin Bell, we've got Murphy, we got Cameron Good, I believe he played edge, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he played edge. So we got plenty of those. Yeah. So we've got plenty of those. I think those could take up the slack for that defensive tackle that we're missing. If we can get those guys back up to 100%, playing, you got Chop, you got Jalen Phillips, you got Bradley Chubb. Those guys can come back and even play at 80%. I think you got enough pass rushers to do the job, especially with Zach Sealer in there. You just need a good, solid, defensive tackle. Are you going to find somebody that's going to replace Calais Campbell, whether it be in the draft or another veteran? No, you're not, right? And it's a crapshoot, the draft, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think if I was the GM, the most critical need for us right now, I believe, is cornerback. We've got to get a cornerback, and that's what I would do. I would go for cornerback in the first round, at 13. But then again, I wouldn't be opposed to finding a trade partner, trade out of that 13th and go down to 20 or 21 or 25, pick somebody in there and then maybe have two picks in the second round. I would not be opposed to that at all. If we could find a trade partner, someone that would do that. But that's where I would go. I would go cornerback first. Then I would probably look for my we got to have a guard, but then again, you get a guard. Is he going to be ready to go? Is he going to be ready to go the first, look what we drafted Patrick Paul, and he played on a limited basis only because Terran Armstead got hurt. Then again, we don't know if Terran Armstead is coming back, right? I think it's a 50-50 chance that he's coming back, in my opinion. And I heard something on the Dive Bar podcast today. I was actually
great show.
Bobby
Schaus is the man.
Bobby Schaus. They had Raheem Mostert on there, and he's playing with the Las Vegas Raiders now. And he mentioned something, and I'd like to talk about that too. But he mentioned something. Sure. Yeah, he mentioned something about they asked him about Terran Armstead, right? And he kind of paused, and he said, "Well, yeah, I don't know. It's up to him. He's got a lot to think about, blah, 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 whatever." And he said, and they said, "Well, you got to let us know." And he goes, "Well, I bought his last Dolphins jersey."
Ooh. So that's I didn't hear that one. Good stuff.
Yeah. So that's a little hint. Maybe he does know something. I don't know. But, he didn't say whether he was or not. But when he dropped that last line, well, I got his last Miami Dolphins jersey, and I think that was a fraudulent slip there.
Freudian slip. Yeah.
Fraudulent slip there. I don't think he meant for that to come out because Bobby Schaus caught him on that and said, "Oh, you just said his last Dolphin jersey." And he didn't say much after that. So, go check that out. Go check that out.
I'm going to
for sure.
You got to remember, like, when the game comes on, there's all these endorphins, there's all this adrenaline, and that pain kind of gets pulled off, plus what they're giving you, But after the game, when all that stuff wears off, the other players, they're seeing these guys limp around, getting out of the hot tub and groaning, and how much pain these guys are in. And Terran Armstead had to be in unbelievable, because this guy plays through so much, and for him to stop in the middle of a game and to continue through this yearly pain cycle for 2.5 years, if anyone's going to know, it's going to be him, because running backs and the offensive line are very tight. They see that stuff, and I think Terran, if he comes back, it would only be in a backup role. I can't imagine him coming.
Wow. I don't know.
I can't imagine him coming back at all, but starting, he's got the money, and he's going to be going through so many surgeries, so much treatment. It's going to take him a long time to feel right. And when I looked at him the other day, he looked a little slimmer too. And when you look at a guy and they start slimming up in the off season like that, it's sometimes a sign of like, hey, I got to get this weight off because my knees hurt. I don't need that extra weight. He looked real. Maybe it was the suit. It was one of those, he's super rich, so he's got those high tailored suits.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great little bit of him. Plus, what are you going to do? You paid Jackson. So you push money forward to next year. I think he's going to be ready to start the season. So you're going to not have him start? I don't think so. And then Paul, you've got to start him. So I don't think he's coming back, but that's a great bit of info. That's a great bit of info.
Yeah.
And as far as 13 goes, look, we don't know who's going to be. If both those corners are gone, Barron and Johnson are gone, then you got to go someplace else. But then that will shift something there. You know, I DT at that 13 spot. I like Grant a ton, but that could be a little reach. I think you said the trade back. If Dolphins can trade back, get extra ammo, and then fall back to that 17, 18, 19, there's two or three tackles you could take in that position. The value would be there, and then you'd have but the thing is, if you look at Sealy, he's probably got 2 or 3 more seasons left in him. Ramsey, I think he's down to maybe 2. And so cornerbacks are hard. Yeah. Cornerbacks are very hard to find. You can find guys with all the edge rushes that we have. You can find big, stout guys to suck up blocks and let all these other guys. But cornerback,
right?
Is Kohu going to be here? Is he the guy? I don't think so. Cam Smith, is he the guy? I don't think so. Ramsey, he really started going downhill towards the end of the season. And next year he'll be like 32. Maybe he moves to safety. So this could, if one of those two or both those cornerbacks there, I think that's a great opportunity. And it's really hard to find corners. And guys like Barron and Johnson, they're usually the top third of the draft normally. But if they fall back, I have to imagine that's where we're going. I just don't think I like Grant, but there's certain things about him that, it might be a little bit of concern. Safety, I'm not really big. So a lot of people like Malachi Starks at 13 or Eminwari. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we got by with poor safeties last year and still had a top defense. I think it's got – because what happens if Ramsey goes down? What do you got?
Exactly.
And he's gone down. He didn't go down this year, but he went down the year before. I think maybe he missed a little bit of time this year. I can't remember.
I don't remember if he missed any time this year. I know he missed the first 4 games last year, I believe it was, or year before last.
6. I believe it was 6.
Oh, was it 6? Okay, and he went down, and he went down in training camp. Yeah.
So I just want to say hi to Dundee Dolphin, man. He's my man. He's always helping me out, trying to be professional. It's good
stuff.
Man, aren't you up late tonight there, Dundee? Man, it's like what, 4:00 in the morning where you live? I'm sorry, Steve. Keep going, brother.
No. You're good. You're good. So going back to the draft, but those are great points, Curtis. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. If Ramsey goes down, who do we have, right?
And then what about the future? If we're building,
and then the future, we're
building to 26, 27, so he's not going to be here.
Yeah. See, a lot of folks don't see that, don't vision that like you and I do, and some others. The way that they when it went into free agency this year, with all these 1-year contracts, I think there's like 2 players that got like a 2-year contract, Westbrook and James Daniels. Yeah. If the way that I see it, and plus I really sense something happened in the background. Something's happening in the background. Something is happening with those guys in the front office. I think they're doing some reorganizing there as well. I really do. Think about it. We got Champ Kelly. We got him in. You got Marvin Allen. Now, Champ Kelly here, and talking about the draft, Champ Kelly could be a help in the draft. I mean, he's set up Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills. So, that might help out, some of the picks in the draft. Him possibly working with McDaniel. To me, it looks like McDaniel's a little more cocky this year.
And honest, straightforward.
Cocky, honest, and straightforward. Yes, I'm seeing a difference in him. I'll take that any day too. So maybe they're giving him a little more power. That's the sense that I'm getting, and it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. But going back to I lost my train of thought. But the draft. The draft. So, yeah, going back into the draft, but yeah, here I got a question for you, Curtis.
Hope I
All
got
right,
the answer.
we've got Jalen Phillips coming back, Bradley Chubb coming back. They've had some devastating injuries, right? ACL, Achilles,
Yeah.
for Jalen Phillips, and then you had
You mean for
um,
Jalen Phillips. Yeah.
yeah, Jalen Phillips had the ACL this year,
Yeah.
right? And then you had
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb coming back. He didn't even see the field last year, right?
Nope.
And he's got a history of injuries. He's had a history of injuries and knee injuries and stuff. So here's my thought as a GM. Man, if you trade down, if one of those edge rushers is there, maybe you get another edge rusher.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
wouldn't be surprised if
you know,
Shamir Stewart goes at 13.
that's the guy I'm thinking about. Maybe we get him. You know what McDaniel says. He likes his edge rushers. He'd like to
Yep.
get an edge rusher in every
Yep.
draft.
Yep.
So
And he would work really well with Chop because he's really good at setting the edge.
there you go. You got a guy that's good at setting the edge, and then you have another guy that's your pass rusher. You know?
And you can
And-
find
and-
you got like an Alfred Collins you can find late to be that
Yeah.
clogger inside. And
Yeah.
and Weaver's a real smart guy. And he was
Mhm.
she showed me a lot last year, able to mask a lot of his deficiencies. It hurt him at a
Right.
certain, it hurt him a little bit because he got beat a couple times because you'd have to blitz a little bit too much in order to like stop the run, everything. But he did a lot with a little. And so
Mhm.
if you get a guy like, because for me personally, I think the run defense is the biggest concern because Jalen
Yeah.
Phillips is coming back. He's going to be injured.
Yeah.
And he wasn't always the best run stopper. And you could see last year when the first couple of weeks he was here before he left again, he was a little ginger in his run defense. And then and Chubb's pretty good at the run defense. I still think they could probably bulk him up to 290. He could not be so much of the edge. He could play that 5 and 4 technique. But in Chop struggles, Kamara struggles. Good's not that good against the run. So Shamir would be a if he's able to get through his teething thing and develop a little bit because he's a little raw, but the guy's talented. So I could see him being a Greer guy too if Greer's still in charge.
Yeah, for sure. So, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they drafted an edge. I mean, we could go so many ways in the draft. I mean, it's like I said, we got a lot of holes to fill. But I know what I was getting at. The way that the free agency went this year, what I'm seeing is a lot of folks are saying, oh man, I think Miami Dolphins, all they need is a couple holes to fill and they can make the playoffs and maybe we can make a run. No, we're not going to do that. Not the way that they wanted free agency, no way. And I don't, even if we hit 100, even if we hit, we get 3 good starters out of the rookie class that we draft. That's still not going to put us over the top. Those guys still have to develop, and so what I think is happening is there's a shift. A shift is coming. I don't think people are seeing it. Like maybe you and I and Alf and some of these other guys. I don't think they're seeing it. I think we're looking more not for next year, but for the future. Because if you've noticed, we've gotten much younger.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we went from the youngest in 20 to 21 to the oldest in 24.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going younger, and that's what I think. I don't expect much out of this team this year. I really don't. My expectations are not very high at all unless something magical happens. Well,
I think there's ways that we can compete. And then if we can compete and we can be tough and get some breaks, I mean, anything can happen. But I'm not high on it. So let me answer because John's my guy, man. He's been around with me forever, and he's a horse guy, and I keep telling my daughter about him. She's like, "Oh, can we go visit him, Daddy?" I'm like, "It's pretty far away, kid. I don't think so." Hey, Curtis, think this is the time to hoard linemen in the draft. Must find depth and rotational players. We don't have 10 picks. The 3 sevens will be practice squad or out, draft big, trees. Yeah, there's a lot of ways. My son better not hear me. He can't watch TV shows where a cat or a dog gets hurt. So there's many ways to skin a cat. And so you need some high impact. So if you got like a Shamir or you trade back and you got a Grant, then, you could work later on. Or if you, like we were talking about, you got a Johnson or a Jadir Barron at 13, or even if you want to get a little crazy and let your hair grow long, I can't do it anymore. You can't either. Go Starks or Eminwari. I'm not, Crocodile Dundee Dolphin over there keeps saying he's not too high on Eminwari. I know Reason was big on him. I see some stuff, but you could get that skill player, and then you can get guys later on. There's an Alfred Collins I like. You could hope, and Alf talked about it, that the way things play out, you could get one of these good DTs that kind of fall out of the first round and be in a striking distance for the Dolphins, or even fall to them in the second round. And you can have a rotation where you get a bunch of solid guys to work inside and to soak up blocks. And to, I'm not big on Benito Jones, but Sealer is still going to be a stud for 2 to 3 years. And so if you have a crew around him and you let him be Superman on that interior, you can make some stuff happen. And there's big guys. Alfred Collins is a guy I like. So you could get that skill at 13. Hopefully somebody falls to you, or you got the right guy in the second round. And if not, there's maybe you get a safety there, the DT, but then you may find guys in that 3 to 5. I don't think we're going offensive line till the 4th round. I don't think I don't think so. I just think that, look, if you're going to bring back Eichenberg, and good point, John. Hey guys, don't forget, I'm learning how to do this. I'm learning how to market, right? Market, Steve, is that what you call it? Market?
That's what it is. Market.
Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the whole thing and all that stuff. Thumbs up. Yeah, that one too. Okay. Do all that fun stuff. But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought too. What was I just saying?
Man, we're getting old. You were talking about the offensive line. You don't think we're going to get?
Oh yeah. If you're going to bring Eichenberg back and you're going to extend Jackson, look, there's other people I respect out there that think Jackson is this and that. I don't. I'm going to do a whole leverage study on offensive inside zone and our skill talent. Jackson's not good, and I don't care how much I'm sorry. It was the same thing. He's a little bit better than Eichenberg, I mean, I'd say 2 levels higher, but they're not good. So if that's going to be, now we could fix that. If you bring a sheriff in, so we can have success if this offensive line and run game, whether it's the outside zone and the cutbacks inside to create interior leverage, if we can get that going somehow, and Paul can move guys. I got some concerns with him. Daniels, whenever he gets healthy, he can move guys way better than Eichenberg. He's like 5 levels higher than Eichenberg. Still don't think he's a real mover, but he can get guys on the move on that outside zone for the cutback. And if you get a little inside zone, because a lot of the things that happened with Campbell is he got burnt out. He was on the field a lot. And so if you just run that football, and I'm not talking about teacup. I have people who curves to it's not teacup. It's running inside enough so people respect you on the interior, and then you have a balanced attack to use against a defense that's being balanced as well. But if we can just stabilize that line, but I don't think, from what I'm seeing, I really think they plan on having Eichenberg start at left guard. And I think they're going to get a guard in the 4th round and have him come in and develop. I don't think the money's there. I think that they're going to really try to hit that defense in the first 3 rounds. So that's what I think. But I'm talking too much. You talk. Yeah. What do you think?
No, great points. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Oh, there he
Look,
is.
they brought back Eichenberg. They brought back what's his name, Carmen. I don't even know his name.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Jackson Carmen, man. That's like PTSD.
Yeah.
The Three Stooges they brought back, or they extended one Stooge and they brought two or more back.
Keon Smith, and then you've got Brian.
I forgot him too. The Four Stooges. That's like Shep.
You got Brian Hayes. Then you've got Andrew Mayer.
Come on, Steve, what are you trying to do? Gut me on my own channel over here? You're like, guts out.
I'm helping you with the point you were making. That's
real talk.
That's Chris Greer's way of investing in the O-line.
I think I'm gonna take some meds now, man. Let me get into this. Will Hernandez and Dalton Rise in free agency before draft could snag both for $7 million or so. Then
I like Will Hernandez. What's his name? Hernandez. Yeah, Will Hernandez. I checked on his stats and stuff, and he seems like he'd be a solid guard for us. He's solid all the way around. He's balanced. What we need a guy that can pass block, run block. Not great. He's not great, but he's solid. And that's the kind of guy I would love to get him in. Will, I would love to get him.
Well, if you think about it, so I keep talking about how we got the dive bar here. Holy cow, they decided to slum with Curtis, man. Bobby Shouse, the man. I was just watching you on with Sarney on his channel before I got over here. That's why I was late to Steve. I saw you were posting over there, man. You're all over the place. Shouse, I heard you're out at sea. You still at sea, Shouse? Shouse. But if you look at Paul, and you put Hernandez next to him, you'd have a stout left side and you'd have your more flexible side from Brewer, Daniels, and Jackson. And that would be a coherent.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally agree.
For sure.
Oh, there we go. Look at this, man. We got the superstar. Steve just broke one of your hits over there with Mostert revealing he bought his last jersey. Man. Can I grow some hair and name myself Bobby Shouse Jr.? You living a life, dude. You got everybody over there. I'm sorry, Steve. Keep going, brother.
No, you're good, man. This is good. But no, that was that. I was just enhancing your point a little bit about this is Greer's way of investing in the O-line. But yeah. But also, I want to make mention too. On my show the other night. Real Talk Phins Talk. I brought up some points. I was reading an article that someone had sent me, and it was concerning the way the defenses have been evolving in the last 5-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
in what way? Explain.
Well, I'm gonna explain.
Ricky Ricardo, explain.
Yeah.
None of these guys will get that. Only you.
Yeah. So they, as you've been talking about the pass balance. Well, they've shifted. Defenses have shifted their strategies to pass balance. That's basically what they've done. So I didn't know this, but since in 2000, I think it was in 2017 or 2019, defenses were using cover 2 44% of the time.
Ooh. Cover 2.
In 2024, it's gone from defense using cover 2 from 44% to 63%.
Wow.
63%. So basically,
that's a great stat. Hold on, let me write that down. What was it, 43 to 63?
44 to 63%. Yeah, so they're using the cover 2. They're using the robber a lot. They're setting, the linebackers are setting back 6 or 7 yards. They've got two split safeties. A Roman in the back, right? And then they got what they're using is hybrid defensive backs or linebackers. Linebacker safety, and they're covered. Yeah. So what they're doing is they're forming like a web, right? Yep. So basically, it's making it a lot harder for quarterbacks to throw the long ball. So that's the reason why we're seeing a lot, and we're seeing a lot of the Chiefs. We're seeing a lot. Mahomes is down in his long passes. He was a leader in 2019. He had a 51% success rate in long ball, right? And now coming to 2024, Russell Wilson is the leader in the long ball pass. He's got a 49% success rate, but his EPA is like 87, where Mahomes in 2019 was 100. Now Mahomes' EPA, right, is negative 19%.
Wow.
19% negative. So this is why we're seeing a lot of these.
I got a juicy question for you when you're done.
Yeah, this is why we're seeing, like, we're asking, well, why isn't Tua getting the ball? Why can't he throw it long? He's open. Because because Tua doesn't have the arm to throw the outside. He doesn't. That's part of it. He doesn't have the arm strength to throw that long ball in the corner, or he doesn't have the comeback routes. He can't throw those. That's why we are seeing a lot of these short bubble screens, a lot of these short passes, because what defenses are doing is they're dictating what the offenses. They're dictating the way the offenses have to play them, right? The offenses are taking what the defense is giving them, and what are they giving them? They're giving them the short passes to methodically march down the field, and the defenses are back there hoping that the quarterback or the running back fumbles, the quarterback throws an interception, something, right? They're waiting on a mistake. And then it gets even tougher when they get in the 15, 20-yard line, right? Because there's not a lot of red zone. There's not. So quarterbacks got to be very efficient in the red zone. They got to be right on in the red zone, man, to break through this web, to break through these coverages.
Well, there's a little bit to it now. Now, he can throw the comebacks, but the comeback is a long developing play. In order to get a comeback off, you've got to be in like the 2.7, 2.8 range, and we can't block that long. And in the red zone, it's more important than ever to be able to run inside. You can't do your outside zone runs. You can't do all your gap. It's got to be a lot of power direct, because everything is so fast because everybody's contained. And so, he does lack those outs. Clearly, he can't throw them with enough.
Yeah.
But the comebacks he could, but the line can't block long enough.
No, he can
on the side.
He can throw them, just not with the velocity that some of these other quarterbacks can throw them. Because I've seen him throw.
Yeah, but I don't think we could even block that long. I mean, because
and it's not it's not really the blocking that long either, Curtis. It's all timing. And what I mean by that is, you've got defensive backs, right? They're in the back. They're watching their lanes, their zones for the and everything for the pass, right? If they see a short pass takes longer to throw. It takes a little longer to throw and to develop. So what these defensive backs do is they're saying, "Oh, he's throwing a short pass. I don't have to worry about my coverage back there anymore." What do? Go straight for the ball.
Yeah.
So,
but also too, you remember that. So when you run a comeback, he's got to run 15 yards, and then he's got to stop and come back. And there's twofold problem. They don't blitz us, and they're dropping 7. And that when you drop 7, that really puts a lot of problems on the deep comeback, depending on how those corners, how far they're dropping. But then the time frame, plus then, as you said, his arm isn't super duper. So the windows, he needs bigger windows. And so I think if you had a honest defense that was blitzing him in the 20-25% range, or like heaven forbid, some of these top teams, the 35 and 40% range, and then they get picked up, he could hit that because then the windows will be bigger. But when you got 7 and you're still getting that pressure, he doesn't have the arm to throw the deep outs or the comebacks in those smaller windows. So I think that's just my take. I'm not saying,
No, and that's right on. And another thing is you hear a lot of folks saying, well, they're throwing those short passes, but it's like a run. It's the same as a run. No, it's not. because you're not pounding that defense. You're not keeping that defense honest. You're not physically moving them. So, when you're doing that and you're running down their throat, then you can methodically move down there when you're moving guys around and you get, and it's the third and fourth quarter. And here you are for your 35th carry. These defenses are freaking exhausted, man. They're worn down. But you need a big body. I mean, you need power blockers, man. And that's something we don't have. If you had that, then you can run that, you can pound the ball down their throat. And then maybe some of those passes in the middle or, intermediate passes will open up, right?
Yeah. Because a lot of times, so when you run play action, people don't realize that the defense doesn't know if you're passing or running. So they can call a run blitz and they're thinking it's a run and you're doing a play action off of it. And now you're getting that. But they don't ever run blitz us. We almost never get run blitz, much less pass blitz. And so, my man over here, Dirk the Daring, I got to do him. Walter Nolan, we got to get Walter Nolan. If we don't get Walter Nolan, it's a bad draft. He's going to save the franchise. Walter Nolan. Sorry, I just had to take care of my guy.
Man, you're having me crack up over here, man.
I got to go check his tape out some more, man. I think they're related. I think Walter Nolan and Dirk are related, man.
Hey, they might be. You never know.
Hey, Paul, they fear Dan Marino's deep pass because Dan Marino could take on the deep. They fear Waddle and Hill's speed because they can get open so fast. So Tua can hit him when they're open, and they don't need to be wide open. I've seen him throw some dimes at the 15 and 25, but Dan Marino would actually take. Dan Marino would actually take at 30 and 40 yards. And Tua really can't take it, but he can take when they get over the top. And it's really the speed that I think they fear more, in my opinion, than Tua's deep throws. I think they fear his interior throws more than his actual arm talent deep.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, I think you're right on that. But yeah,
I don't want to disagree with you, Paul. I don't ever want to do that. But
So if we can get that running game established, that's a key right there. That and and also I hate to say it, but I think a mobile quarterback really would help in this type of these type of defense coverages that they're using now. I really do. If you have a mobile quarterback. Not a running quarterback, but just a mobile quarterback. Somebody that can roll out to the left, to the right, throw on the run. Even just have that little bit of a threat. Well, maybe he will run, or maybe he's going to take off, or or something like that.
There's always like a metric though. You have the guys that are super mobile, and then you have the guys that are like immobile passers. You want that like nice little middle ground. Sometimes, like even like you watch Watson, he has he just holds the ball a long time, and he's not Watson. From Texans. What's the Texans' name? Watson, right?
Oh no, you're talking about C.J. Stroud.
Stroud. Yeah, well, I was thinking Watson.
Yeah.
Oh, because the Texans.
Because he used to play for the Texans.
That's right. Yeah, I'm old. So, but I want a guy. I like some mobile. To me, Steve Young in his prime was the best combo.
Oh man,
the two.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome.
So anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, Alfred Collins. What do you think about these guys? Alfred Collins, Ty Robinson. I like both those. Caldwell, I like. I'll never take a guy Jordan Phillips though. I'm sorry. We had Jordan Phillips over here, and he broke my heart. I thought that guy was gonna be a stud. You like any of these guys?
The thing with Jordan Phillips is his work ethic. He was
the buffet though.
Yeah, he did work well at the buffet. He did have a weight problem. Any of those guys? Let me see those guys again. Oh, Joe Milton. Didn't he go? No, Joe. I'm thinking the other guy. Not Joe Milton. Who am I thinking of? Who's the guy who plays for New England? Wasn't he traded? Or
Wilford?
Was he? No. The quarterback.
Oh yeah, Milton went to Cowboys for fifth.
Yeah. Right. I would love to have him as a backup.
Yeah,
Take a shot at him.
I like the name Thor Griffith. I got to check that guy out. That's a name, dude.
I never heard of him. What position does he play in
DT.
that? Oh, he plays defensive tackle.
Thor Griffith. I got to write that down.
Yeah.
I need that.
You know, I know very few of these guys, and you know, I may know the top 10 or 15 guys that are going to be drafted, but other than that, I'm lost. You know, when it
Shaky
comes
Money,
to
what's up there, brother? Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm slowly getting there. I fixate on stuff, so it takes me a little while. I probably should start this stuff a little bit earlier, but I'm getting there. I'm starting to get there. I'm gonna have my final mock draft and everything. I'm getting there. Let's see, Joe Deal. I need more help.
So Curtis, with that in mind, with the way that defenses have evolved in the last 5, 6, 7 years, and with the free agents that we've acquired, and going forward in the draft, does that change your perspective on how you see things? You think it should?
Well, yeah, it should. I've been talking about it for a little bit. And so we try to build like the 49ers, but the 49ers, when they were at their best with the offensive line, they could run outside zone, but they had balance inside zone. And if you notice, when they lost the Super Bowl, the whole first half, they were running like 60%, 70% inside with a little dash to the outside. But once they got to the second half, they had like 1 or 2 stops inside, and then you started going outside. And then the whole system broke down. And the inside run game. So if you're looking at the defenses, the way they're playing, you could sum it all up as leverage. And so what the defenses are doing now is they're saying, you know what? We're giving you underneath and inside leverage. We're taking away the top. We're going to not really blitz too much. We want to take away the middle. We want to have high leverage, forcing you to throw underneath, forcing you to have to go to your second and third, and forcing you to run inside. And so the problem is now you don't have the two-a-days. And so these offensive linemen don't really – you could get a guy that like a Mark Schlereth, and he was semi-talented, but he was super smart, he was super hard worker, and he had two-a-days, and he would get everything down, his chemistry down. But when you take away those two-a-days and that consistent practice, then the guys, if they don't have the superior talent, they start dropping down and it starts breaking apart, especially when you get an injury or two. And so a lot of the best teams now, they're investing heavy on the offensive line because when you have a lot of talent, whether it's in the depth with solid talent and depth and then high talent at your offensive line, not every spot, but as much as you can get, it offsets the lack of practices. And if you can run the football inside and you can able to dominate in those trenches, you're going to create different leverage. So look at Barkley. People are like, Barkley, well, he didn't do that good in the Super Bowl. The whole defense of the KC set their leverage to the line of scrimmage. Everybody was focused on Barkley because of that offensive line, because of Barkley, because of the inside run and his ability to pop outside. And that opened up the boots for Hurts. It opened up the deep pass. And so it's about resetting the leverage, because for a long time, the running back became a red-haired stepchild. The offensive lines didn't have the two-a-days. And so the run game was like, it's, you don't need a run game. And so everyone was throwing. And then all of a sudden defenses said, well, what are we doing this? Let's just stock up on the pass, stop the pass, and let them beat us with the run and let them be consistent and then stall them out in the red zone. And that's how we got to where we're at. And so the teams that are building – if you can run a balanced inside and outside zone and be physical just enough to set that leverage a few times and pick up those few extra points, then you're going to be in the right side of history. But with McDaniel, he wants to run all this outside zone stuff, but all that does is it attacks where their leverage is at. Occasionally you'll pop a run, but my third part of my series of leverage, I'm going to show you the morphing from Denver all the way up to our final game against the Jets, and you're going to see. And so McDaniel's only hope is that he gets a guy in there in the left guard and they can get some cutback. And if they get some cutback, then what happens is they're going to run blitz. They'll creep up their linebackers. They'll move those edges in a little bit, and they'll crunch those linebackers. And then you could pop the outside stuff. You could pop the pass. And now that all of a sudden they're starting to guess, and then you get more space for your inside runs on your inside zones, and everything opens up. But as it stands right now, it's 2 D tackles versus 5 offensive linemen. Linebackers playing, they don't even have 3 linebackers. They have 1 linebacker sitting at the 6, 1 at the 5, and a nickel sitting there patrolling on the weak side. And you can't do that. You can't do that. So you've got, and that's why I think what my man Dirk was saying, if you had Paul and then you had Hernandez, that's a nice little thing. That's something we could do. So I don't know. I totally agree with you saying on the leverage, but it's all coming down. Look, KC won after 2019. They won his Super Bowls by running that football. You look at all the teams that are in the playoffs. They're able to stop the run and run the football. And
and you know what?
Yeah.
And you know what? If you look at the New York Jets, look how they're getting set up now.
Yep.
Right?
Everybody in the division but us.
Everybody but us is on that train, man. And we're still in the back of the caboose, man. It's crazy.
Not yet. If they can fill that left guard and Paul can step forward. So if you think about it, so you got Farrell Brown next to Paul, and then say you got a Hernandez guy. Those 3 guys are going to set the leverage. They're going to move guys. And if you can get 3 or 4 on that first down, then the next first down, they're going to start thinking. And if Farrell Brown, Paul, who improves himself, and a really good left guard will allow you to do a lot more stuff. But if you're going to go with Eichenberg, it's not going to reset that leverage. Yeah,
and that's what I'm afraid of, man. That's what I'm afraid of. I don't need, if they didn't pay – If they didn't pay Calais Campbell, that's $7 million. I think he got from
Arizona.
If they didn't pay, you mean to tell me they can't pay Will Hernandez? I don't think Will Hernandez would be demanding that much.
No.
To be honest with you, no. I got to look at Spotrac, his contract. I don't think it's that. I don't think he's making that much. Maybe 2-3 million tops.
I forgot who it was. There was another guy out there who got signed for like 4 or something like that, and I liked him a lot. I just don't understand. I don't understand how you could give 2.2 to Eichenberg guaranteed. I know he could play multiple spots, but he can't play them well. So what does that mean?
Well, what good is he? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, man. Well, it does make sense because Chris Greer, he's not going to give up on Eichenberg, right? He didn't give up on Iggy, right? He didn't give up on any of those guys that he drafted, right? He hasn't given up on Cam Smith.
He gave up on Wilkins, Hunt, and Van Ginkel.
Yeah, but Wilkins, they became pretty good. He lets them go. Once they become good, he lets them go. I mean, he doesn't have anybody behind him to replace them. That's the problem.
So
I could justify him. Okay, we don't want to pay Wilkins, whatever it was, 22 million, 20, whatever. But we got this other guy behind him that he may not be as good as Wilkins, but he's up. He's close. You know what I mean?
Deal.
Gosh, Van Ginkel, man, that was stupid.
Just imagine this. If they signed Van Ginkel and never traded for Chubb.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that he was tight with Flores, and I don't think Greer liked him too much for that. That's just my personal, whatever.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, you never know, man. Makes sense though. I liked Van Ginkel, man. He was a freaking motor, man. He was relentless. I don't
understand how you let him walk. That's crazy business.
I don't either. I really don't. And then you let Brandon Jones go. He ends up being the best safety in all of football last year.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was okay with them letting him go because he couldn't cover so well. But whatever they did over there with him in Denver, man, he did a really good job.
Did a great job over there. Yeah. Same with Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah.
He didn't do too bad either. He was like a top 10 safety. So,
The only line I'm putting Eichenberg on is the bench line.
Or the cafeteria line.
Yeah. Oh, that was a better one, man. I need to remember that one. Good one, Steve. That was perfect.
Perfect. There's something else that Raheem Mostert on the Dive Bar podcast. Guys, got to check that one out.
Man, yes, Dive
real
Bar.
good,
and Bobby Showers.
real good stuff over there. But anyway, when I was watching that, he didn't look very happy. I mean, he looked excited because he's going to Vegas. He was real happy about going to Vegas. I mean, he was meeting up back with Christian Wilkins and everything. They hugged each other, he said, and all that. But he said he's really happy he's going to Vegas to play with the Las Vegas Raiders. But when he was talking on that show, he was not happy with the way he was treated here in Miami. Not happy at all.
Yeah, he kept saying he didn't know why he wasn't getting the football and stuff.
Didn't know why he wasn't getting the football.
I saw some of the show.
Yeah, the lack of communication on the coaching. McDaniel.
Watch it fully, man.
Yeah, he was not. He didn't. He didn't talk bad about him, but he didn't talk anything good about him either. You know what I mean?
It's clear. I mean, there was all kind of dysfunction going on.
Yeah, and that's the feeling I get. That I get that perfect. That's a perfect statement you just made. The dysfunction. They're very
dysfunctional. We've been dysfunctional for years. That's why it's like
for sure.
That's why I got so upset with the Flores thing. Like he became, the magnet for everything that was ever wrong. When we've been dysfunctional, since Ross couldn't talk to Parcells because he was nervous around him. And so Parcells thought he was going to get rid of him, and then they broke up. I'm not saying that was not a good thing, but we've been dysfunctional for years.
And you know what? I unfortunately, if things don't look like we're winning, let's say we're 2-4 or something like that going, maybe in the mid-season, it looks like it's really tough for us to get to 500, or we're at 500. I don't know, man. I think McDaniel's going to be on that chopping block. That's just my opinion.
But that's what bothers me. And this is why I don't like Chris Grier. Like I literally do not like him because so you're in charge of something. You're going to take a guy who's never run a company. Then you're going to ask him to run the company, be the accountant, and you're going to tell him we've got to get, plus 200% profit margin in year one. And then you're going to get, like lobotomized monkeys to run the corporation underneath them. And that's what they did with the run game coordinator. They asked him to come in, call, be HC, and then they give him a dysfunctional offensive line. And then they ask him, I'm not saying he would be the guy, but we always do this. We always set people up for failure and then let their head get chopped. If Grier stands and McDaniel goes, I don't know how I don't know, like it'd be like almost too much for me to deal with. Could you imagine that? Like we have a bad season this year and McDaniel gets fired and all you're hearing is Tua sucks and McDaniel sucks. And you come back next year, they're gone and Grier's here again for year 11.
Oh my God.
That is like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I
have to take some serious meds for that one.
Yeah. But look, to be on a positive note, I do like what they're doing this year. I'm not giving Grier the credit. I don't think it's Grier. I don't think it's Grier the one. I think it's Brandon Shore. That's put
Marvin Allen and
Champ
Kelly
and Champ Kelly. That's what I think. I think they're putting the reins. They're pulling the reins. And you're not doing this. And that's why I say there's something is cooking in that office. I don't know what it is, but I can smell something cooking, and we'll see if it's good or not.
I think that's what Alf was saying too. That I think that if those guys are really running the show and something good comes out of it, they'll allow Grier to take claim for it and go, "Oh yeah, I'm retiring now," and like, you know what I'm saying, like go to upper management,
yeah.
all right, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's fine
Well,
by me. Just get rid of him.
yeah, I think honestly, I think that's what would happen anyway. I don't think I think they'll give him a higher position in the front office. I
Yeah,
really
just
do.
don't let him touch football operation. Now,
Yeah.
Alf had a great bit. He said Marvin Allen,
Mm-hmm.
he usually just collects the dossiers. He's
Mm-hmm.
not. He doesn't go out to the teams and scout personally. But
Right.
I forgot what team, Louisville or something. There's a quarterback there that looks like he's a 4th or 5th rounder. Hey, man, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on, 74? So, you were born in 74? I was born in 71. Are you the same age as me? Old? And so Marvin Allen was the guy in charge of finding Mahomes. He was the guy in charge of finding Allen. And the quarterback he was looking at, I got to go back
No,
and
no, no.
find it.
What was it? Wasn't that Champ Kelly that did
No,
that?
no, Marvin
Was
Allen.
Marvin Allen? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
He
it was
set the
Champ
draft
Kelly.
board and all that. And so he went out and scouted. I forgot what team he said. I don't really, but the quarterback there was the only guy that looked like he'd be a guy that worthy of scouting. And he's that same prototype. And he looks like he's a 4. I got to ask Alf again what his name was. Great information. Alf is so knowledgeable. So I think, I know we're all dour, but if Greer's been pulled out and you got Marvin Allen, Shore going, you know what, we're going to do this like an accountant, and Champ Kelly coming in here because he's weak at quarterbacks. So him and Marvin Allen kind of pair well together. You could, because look, you get that left guard solidified somehow, a Schaff or Will Hernandez. You get the offensive line solidified. You've got a nice receiving group. You got a nice tight end group. You got a nice running back group. You got Wright, who's a one-cut inside guy. So if you can open up some inside, he's an animal. And then you draft in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round some defensive players. You get a little health, and that defense can kind of play similar to what it's doing last year, but you get a little run game. You get some point production. You never know. As long as Greer's not making the choices, I can kind of go with that hopium road. If he's there,
and I'm hoping that too, man. I really am. But I think, and I think what's been going on in the past is I think maybe we've been giving Greer too much credit, whether it be good or bad. I don't
never
think
on
he's
the
been
bed,
making,
Steve. Never on the bed.
Yeah, just my opinion. I don't think he's been calling the shots like everybody thinks. I think it's been a collective, and I think it's been a collective. I think Reggie McKenzie was on it. I think maybe Brandon Shore was in on it. Whoever else. I don't think it was just one guy, a football guy, making the shot, calling the shots, and that's the problem. Ross is running this organization like a corporation. Okay, he's not running it like a football operation, and that was the problem. I think it was a committee. He called a committee, call everybody, come to the round table. They talk. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good. Oh, we'll go with this one this week, or we'll go with that one that week. That's what I think was happening. And if you think about it, and you start connecting the dots, and you really think about it, some of the decisions that were made, you're like, wait a minute, did Greer do that? Or wait a minute, that you know what I mean? That doesn't seem like he would make a decision like that or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I think. It's just been a collective, and no, we don't need a collective. We need one guy. Sure, be a collective when you're in the meetings. You talk, blah blah blah. You collect all the data, analysis, the ideas. You get with everybody, whatever. You make the decision. One man make that decision. So whenever something goes right, you point to him. If it goes wrong, you point to him.
That's leadership.
That's leadership. You can't be saying, oh well, this week it's that guy, this week it's that guy, and it doesn't pan out. Who are you gonna fault?
And it's like Teflon living, because you can never blame anybody. It's like this.
No accountability. No accountability.
Yeah.
And
that's maybe Shore's the guy who's taken over, and they're going to allow Marvin Allen to be the head of personnel, and then Champ Kelly's going to work underneath him, and that's going to be the power structure, a linear power structure, and kind of a figurehead. And McDaniel, he's going to say, I want this or I want that. And they're going to say, well, maybe not, I think his control will be, he was going to set the philosophy.
Right.
I just don't know. Right. I don't like his philosophy on in the run game though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but he's a run game coordinator. I don't get it. I don't get it.
He didn't have the horses. It's not his fault so much. It's not his fault so much. You know, I mean, I'm not saying he's the best. I think he's got a lot he needs to fix, but you can't listen. You can't expect Cotton, Keon Smith, Eichenberg, Broken Down Win, Jackson. Who else did we have that were ridiculous? These guys wouldn't even be like they're barely starters. Some of these guys.
Oh, what was that guy? Cotton, Lester Cotton. Did you mention him?
Yeah,
we had Lester Cotton. That was last year.
Big. They signed him for $4 million.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
They must be smoking some cotton. I don't know. Maybe he got better.
I don't know, man. Maybe what if he becomes an All-Pro this year? Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, right. You know what it is? He had potential. He was just too doughy. So maybe
he got,
a little, and just worked out or something. If he could do that, all right.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Weaver needs to show something for the secondary. Jones and Hollins will be Pro Bowlers. Meanwhile, how does Ramsey feel today? What do you think about Weaver? Do you think he's got a lot to prove this year as far as this in the secondary?
No, I don't think so. I think he did a very good job last year with what he had, and I think he's very creative. I think he'll make it happen. I don't think our defense is, even though I don't think we made a lot of good, blockbuster free agent acquisitions on for instance, linebacker. Those guys are okay, but I like Terrell Dotson. I think he's good. He'll be good in coverage for us. Jordan Brooks is kind of an all-around guy, a little better in the run game, but he's adequate in the coverage. And then you got Gay and Britt. They're okay, but they're not. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he'll get something out of them. I have confidence in Weaver. I don't think even with the I don't think they made a lot of good acquisitions on the defense. I think Weaver will get the best out of these guys, and I don't think our defense is going to take a step back. It may not get any better. I think it'll be the same, but it could get better. It just depends. But I don't think it's going to take a step back. If anything, I think.
Oh no, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, if anything, I think the offense might take a step back if we don't improve that O-line.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what Daniel's getting, but I kind of like the linebacker group.
Okay.
KJ Britt's just going to be a filler. Gay, I don't know. He's a talented guy, but there's some inconsistency there. Like you said, Dotson and Brooks. I think Dotson and Brooks are nice. But the linebacking group it depends on that front to keep them clean. Those guys have been kept clean except for KJ Britt. So
and you got
Tyndall. We got Tyndall too. He's ready for a breakout.
Yeah, man, he's gonna have a breakout season.
Hey, what do you think about BMCD? So Greer and Tua out after the season. What do you think? What's your odds on this is the last season for Tua and Greer?
I didn't really want to get into this, but I think this is Tua's last year. I really do. I think they're getting ready to make a quarterback change here. I really do. Because if you read through what Mike McDaniel said about Zach Wilson and then what the media is putting out there, they're hyping this guy up, man.
Yeah.
They're hyping this guy up. It's not like I've never seen any teams talk about a backup like they're talking about Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I think for me, the numbers is the biggest problem. So if we cut him pre-June next year, it's 62 dead and minus 22 to the cap. If we cut him, if we cut him,
here's the thing, Curtis. I don't care what those numbers are. Okay, if he's not the guy, who cares? Let him go. You won't
be able to okay, I'm trying to do a logic. So let's say now does Wilson is a 1-year deal, right?
With incentives up to $10 million.
Okay, so let's say whatever, shooting it. So Tua screws up. He gets injured. He sucks, whatever. You're like, let's get rid of this guy. So you have $4 million above the cap next year, and you have 41 guys signed. If you cut Tua pre-June, which you're going to have to in order to get that money, if you to free agencies, but you can't because you'll have 62 dead, and you'll be at minus 22 for next season. And then I think it'll be like a 40 million the next year dead. So you'd be at like minus 16 million. So if Wilson does good, he's going to be looking for a sizable contract, 20 or 30 million. Let's say he comes in balls that, so you couldn't possibly sign him. So I think just from a contractual standpoint, you would have to gut some real stuff. You probably, even if you want to move off Chubb, it's still like 19 dead. So like if Chubb is a guy you want to get rid of, it's 19 dead. And then you'd split that over 2 years. And then Tua, you'd be at minus 31 just between these two guys. And you'd still have to sign all the guys. And then if Wilson does really well, you're going to have to pay him a sizable contract, which you could probably do to next year. You could say, hey, I'll pay you $1 this year in 26, and I'll front load it for 3 or 4 years or whatever ahead. But about 102 million in 27. And then you're talking about 30, 35, 40 million in dead carrying over from getting rid of these two guys. But if you wait to 27 to cut him, you save like 49 million and you only get 6 dead if you cut him in 27.
So will he be the?
I think whatever they're doing, they're going to get rid of him in 27 if he fails.
Okay.
Because I just don't think financially they can feasibly do it. You know, like some people say the Broncos, but they had a stock team.
Yeah, they did.
So
they did.
We don't. We're a gutted team. If we had to do that, you're talking about, you know, you'd have to hit the next 2 drafts like nobody's business, and then you'd be broke for like a while. So,
well,
I think Greer's gone, and I think 2 is back until 27.
Okay, I
might be wrong. I might be wrong.
I think Greer's gone, and I have a feeling that Tua will be gone next year.
If he gets injured, you never know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You know, if he gets injured again, and if we're out, you know, we just have a terrible season. I mean, what do they got to lose, right? I mean, and they got how many do they have on contract? How many players do they have on contract?
Next year, 41. And like 20 of those guys are guys you don't want on your team.
Right. And yeah.
So they'd have trouble fielding a team if they cut Tua. If you go through the numbers.
If going through the numbers realistically.
They'd have to get off Hill too.
Yeah, I think they are going to get off Hill.
But they're not going to really save all that much money. They're still going to take a little bit of hit. So you got Chubb, you can't keep going him. And then, you know, then you got Tua you're going to get off of, and then Hill you're going to get off of. It's going to be, they'd have to, I don't know, they'd have to do something crazy because who else can you extend? There's nobody else. Seal's only making 10. You can't really do much there. Ramsey, you can't extend him. Who else is getting paid that you can move that money forward to even field the team? So,
maybe Waddle? Maybe?
He's only making 20 million.
Is he? Okay, I thought he was making no.
What if Tua plays all 17, 35 TDs, 11 ins, Dolphins make the A's sheet? What do? You got to ride it. You ride it I think they're just going to ride it to 27. I think they're riding to it. If it was me and I was Ross, either A, I'm selling the team in 27, or I'm setting this thing up that in 27 I have about 104 million. You take Tua off the contract, it's about 150 million. You move Chubb off, it's like 170. You draft a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round this year, and you look again based on how he performs this year and the next year to draft another quarterback. If he sucks, then you keep him and you draft a guy in the 1st round and you take the hit for 2 years. You stock your picks. If you tank next year, then the following year you get rid of him and you have a high draft pick and you move on with some of these quarterbacks you picked up, whether it's Wilson, the guy they definitely draft. I think with Marvin Allen, they're looking at somebody in the mid rounds trying to take a flyer.
Well, Curtis, I think that the way that you did it is definitely logical. It makes a lot of
Could be
sense,
wrong.
financially. No, but it does. It makes a lot of sense. But here's my thing. I'm just so impatient with to. I just don't want to. I'm impatient with his injuries. I'm impatient with him choking in the big games. I'm just ready to go off him. But I'm not the guy paying him the money. I'm not the guy
Yeah.
that owns the team. So, but that's
I
just
don't think
my feelings.
I know this is I'm
as
I'm,
a
I'm a
fan.
little different. I don't think he chokes as much as he's got an underwhelming system and team. I think he's like a Mayfield, but he's got a higher skill set in that one area. And if you look at how Tampa built around him and what they did,
Mhm.
I think his biggest thing is his injuries. He is a little yippy in the clutch. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but this setup is so poor. And I think it's less of him choking. I don't think he's super clutch, but
Mhm.
I think the team is, I think Greer, the offensive
Mhm.
line, the design, even McDaniel in a lot, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, and all right. So let's say he does have let's say
I don't mean to
he does
disagree
have
with you. You're my guest. I don't want to disagree with you.
no. What are
But I
you
want you to
talking
come
about?
back. I like you. I want you to come back. I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh no. I love disagreement. That's what it's all about, man. I mean, you
You're a
can't,
man. That's
you know,
why.
you can't if you disagree with somebody, and you get all upset about a game of football. Something wrong with you.
Amen,
But
brother.
anyway, what I'm saying is let's say he gets hurt next year again.
Mhm.
Say concussion. Say concussion because that's
He might be
more
forced to
like
retire. That changes
that's my
things.
point. That changes things
If
a
he
lot. Big
retires, some
time.
of the money changes if he retires.
Yeah, see that would change something. And I'm not. Trust
No,
me,
hell no, no.
I'm not wishing on that to happen for nobody. But I'm just saying, the likelihood, the probability of that happening is very high.
Billy
But
D, man, I love your movies. Thanks for coming on, man. I got Bobby Schaus and Billy D. Williams.
do you
Man,
think there's a team that would take his contract on
no.
and trade? You don't think so?
If he's healthy, and I think he could
Hmm.
be healthy. I think if you look at all
Absolutely.
the injuries he got was all him going on move. He's going to be so cautious this year. He's going to play no hero ball.
Man, I hope so.
Fat Tua. He's going back to Fat Tua, and I think that he just can't take a hit.
No, he can't take a hit. He cannot take a hit.
Hey, look at this, man. I got the third star, Darius. Hey, man, I hope your daughter is all right, brother. I hope you guys are all well over there, man. You're the best. You really are, man. Great guy, dude. You really are the best, dude. No. Cody's the best. You're second best. You're the best
No.
football knowledge. But my man Cody, man, he'll never show up again. That's for coming by, brother.
Were
And
you
I
tough on
really,
Cody?
I'm really appreciative, man. I really that study you gave me, man, it was really an eye opener. I appreciate your patience and your wisdom. Anyway, so sorry, Steve.
No, you're good. You're good, man.
I got
You're
ADD.
good.
I can only do one thing at a time.
I hear you. I hear you, man. No, but that's it, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I just think the Dolphins are going in the right direction as far as organizationally, as far as the front office. I think they're starting to cook something up there.
I'm hoping.
In the GM department. I really do. I think so. Um,
I like that positivity, man.
yeah, I think they're going in the right direction. They're getting younger. They put the restraints on as far as the money goes. I know a lot of folks, were expecting, a couple big splashes this year and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad they didn't. I'm really not. Whether we have a good season or a bad season, I'm still going to be happy because I think they're going in the right direction as far as this organization goes. And the fans
If they
deserve
get
it.
rid of Greer, man, I am going to throw a party. You and I'm going to fly down to Texas and have a party with you, dude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mean you're going to fly up to Texas? You're in Panama, right?
Yeah, man, come down. It's nice and hot over here.
Oh man, I love the heat, man. I love it. I
I
love
like
it.
the cold, dude. I'm sweating already.
Oh man. Yeah, I love it when it's I love
I like
the
that, Steve. Keep talking about that positive. So in
yeah,
your mindset, we'll run it off here because I didn't want to keep it too long. Um,
sure.
in this positive vein, how do you
Mhm.
see it playing out organizationally?
Organizationally, I think I see Greer moving. They're moving away from Greer, whether he be, somewhere higher up in the office or not. And I see,
Hallelujah.
yeah, and
Hallelujah.
I
Sorry.
see I see either Marvin Allen or Champ Kelly. They brought him in here for some reason, and
Yeah, definitely.
one of those two will be the GM, and one of them will be the assistant. I know Champ Kelly's is they hired him as an assistant GM, right? Wasn't it?
Mhm. Yeah,
I think it was.
he took what's his name, who went to the
Yeah,
Titans, McKenzie.
McKenzie, right, right. So I think one of those will probably become the GM. I know it's going to be in house. I know a lot of folks probably don't like that, but he's relatively new to the organization, so I mean he's kind of got a clean slate. Maybe one of those two become the GM. Brandon Shore stay in his seat, and he'll probably be the guy, kind of keeps the reins on the finances and everything. Nah, I don't know if we can get this guy, but maybe we can get this guy.
They say he
they're
does.
looking.
It was really interesting. Do you know he studies players?
Yeah, analytics, but I mean, yeah, I don't think he's a football guy. You know what I mean?
No. But at least he's like Dawn Aponte was all money.
Right, right,
He's a
right.
little
At
bit
least
like a
he's
Tannenbaum.
Yeah, at least he's making the effort to
Yeah,
study the players and things. And that's not gonna that's gonna be a good thing, right? That's a good
yeah,
thing. What if he's the contract guy and he's also analyzing the players and stuff like
yeah.
that. So that's what I think that's how I think it's gonna go.
Oh,
And
I would
I'm
love that.
hoping I'm hoping that's the way it goes.
I can't do this
And
much more, brother. I can't do this much more.
yeah, yeah.
Too long, man.
But I don't know, man. I'm just gonna keep it like that, man. I'm not gonna say anything negative. I want this to be a positive ending of the show. We'll end that on a positive note,
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
So,
So anyway, Billy D, man, 100%, 100%. I still love you in the Diana Ross movie. I can't remember that name of that movie. What was the name of that movie? I used to always watch that as a kid because it was remember the Jazz, not
Diana
Jazz.
Ross.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams was in the Billy Holiday story. I love
Oh,
Billy Holiday.
oh,
It was a
yeah.
great movie,
Okay.
man. Diana
Yeah.
Ross did a great job in that. Anyway,
Yeah, I
Billy
love
D, thanks
Diana
for
Ross.
coming by. Inside Out, that's right, brother. So
Inside Out. Yeah.
anyway, I appreciate everything for coming by, Steve. You're
Oh,
the best.
absolutely.
Thanks for giving me a little hope. Come back soon. Steve, tell us the whole thing where they can check you out and do your marketing. Show them your
Okay.
marketing skills.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, you can catch me on the Phins Talk Sports Network. Show I have is called Real Talk Phins Talk. Right now, during the off season, we have Meeting of the Minds Phins Talk panel shows, and then once a month, I like to do a Tuesday therapy where I have some of the fans come on to the panel and they can give their voice and opinions on how they see the team going, whatever they want to talk. As
Yeah,
far
Darius
as
was on Tuesday.
goes.
Guys, go check out Darius on Steve's show. It was good. I got to go see it, but I'm sure it was a good one.
Yeah, yeah. O'Darris was on. We had El Capitan from the Fins
Dan
tailgate.
Marino
And
was on last week, right?
Dan Marino? No, he wasn't on last week. No, but
I
yeah,
heard
you can.
that. I thought maybe I got. I thought
No,
I heard.
no, that was another show. But no, you can check me out at 7:30 Eastern time on the Fins Talk Sports Network. Make sure you look for Real Talk Phins Talk, and yeah, you can catch me every Tuesday night there.
Awesome, Steve. You're the best. You're a great guy, a real stand-up dude. I always enjoy it. Everybody, thanks for putting up with
Thank you.
me and coming by to stop by to see Steve. I appreciate all your comments and all your time. You guys are the best. Curtis and Steve saying, "Go Fins." Curtis and Steve out. Good night, everyone. Be well.
Good night.